I'm pretty sure heading into this race, nobody expected this Martinsville race to be this good. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Jet. Welcome back to episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. The penultimate race of the 2023 NASCAR season is set and the Championship 4 is set. The youngest Championship 4 so far in the playoff era and what was undoubtedly the best Martinsville race ever in the next gen era. We saw basically what we expect to see at Martinsville. A lot being and banging, pushing and shoving, a lot more cautions. We also saw a lot of comers and goers, tire fall off. It was not the perfect race. It wasn't a perfect race. There's still some improvements that need to be made, but it was a very, very good Martinsville race. You really cannot hate much about what we saw here today. Right off the bat, we knew that this race was different than the previous 2 or 3 Martinsville races in this next-gen car. Martin Truex Jr. started out as the race leader since he started on pole, lap 48. Denny Hamlin took over. And also, Goodyear brought in a new, softer tire that allowed for more tire fall-off. We saw multi-groove racing. Like I said, a lot more pushing and shoving, a lot more comers and goers. And you even had a moment in the first caution with Harrison Burton and Alex Bowman. Those two were just clanking off each other back and forth, and both of them spun out. So right away, you knew that this was going to be a different Martinsville race. And right away, it set the tone of how the race was going to be in stage 1. It was going to be Hamlin, being strong that he is. He won stage 1. You also saw Ryan Blaney, just like last weekend at Homestead, ran well. Today, he also ran extremely well. And you also saw William Byron struggle in this race. And I mean struggle. It almost looked like it was going to be Kevin Harvick 2020 all over again. It looked as though that Byron for sure was going to have a lock-in into the Championship 4. At the very least, you know, he was safe, but he was close to being knocked out. Stage 1 was all Denny Hamlin. Stage 2 was all Ryan Blaney. Lap 194, Blaney took the lead away from Hamlin on the outside. And it was interesting the way these two were battling each other, considering the history that they had just the week prior at Homestead. Then you also saw some racing with the lap cars because we did see a lot of long green flag runs. And Blaney got into it with the lap leaders, including Tyler Reddick, another playoff driver. Blaney drove in way too hard, come up the racetrack. The two made contact, and around that same time, Christopher Bell got into Ryan Newman, spun him out to bring the caution. There was just a lot of stuff that was happening in this race, no matter where the drivers were. Whether you're battling for first or you're battling to stay on the lead lap, battling mid-pack, there were battles all over. And then we have to talk about Martin Truex Jr. Up to this point, he was having somewhat of a solid run. He was settling pretty well. Still below the cut line, but within reach. After that caution with Ryan Newman, got caught speeding on the exit of pit road. That killed his race. Stuck in the mid-pack, and he would not get out of that mid-pack for the remainder of the race. And on that following restart, the battle continued between Blaney and Hamlin. These two would just not get off each other. Swapping leads back and forth. Hamlin up top, Blaney down low, takes the lead. Oh, Hamlin back on the inside. I mean, it was typical Martinsville. It was beautiful Martinsville short track racing. Something about this new tire that Goodyear brought just made the racing just miles better. Again, not perfect, but still miles better than what we saw in the previous 3 years. But in the end, Blaney was able to get out ahead of Hamlin as he had the faster car, and Blaney would go on to win stage 2. Stage 3, the two continued to battle each other, and they nearly wrecked each other on the back straightaway on the restart. Blaney got ahead. Hamlin tried to cross him under and nearly turned Blaney. I don't know how Blaney saved this car, but he managed to keep it going, keep it straight, and keep the lead. And then literally right after those two were able to settle their issues, Joe Logano decided to say, you know what, screw Ty Gibbs. I don't like him because he's young, so I'm going to dump him. I mean, he didn't even give Gibbs a chance. On the back straightaway, he was already on his ass and just dumped Ty Gibbs. Brad Keselowski also got involved, as well as Daniel Suarez, and brought out the caution. And then you also saw some other incidents later in the race, like I think Carson Hocevar and Ty Gibbs got into as well, where Gibbs got into Hocevar, and then Hocevar clapped back and dumped Ty. You saw a lot more tempers flaring, a lot more drivers wrecking each other. And then a very funny incident happened after lap 323 and Michael McDowell got spun to bring out the caution. The pace car just broke down, stopped in turns 1 and 2. The reason why was that so much rubber was building up on the tires that it caught the wiring on the rear of the pace car and ripped the wiring out and caused it, basically to die, which is a great thing as a race fan, knowing that that much rubber is being laid out on the racetrack, but it was still kind of a insane thing to have happen. I think the last time we saw a pace car have issues was, I think, 2014 at Daytona when the pace car caught on fire. At least that's the last time I remember for a NASCAR race, but it was a very hilarious thing to see. This race really had everything. But then around that time, that was a very interesting time when that caution period came out, because you then saw some drivers stay out on the racetrack. Chase Elliott, Corey LaJoie, and Eric Jones. They stayed out. So they stayed out on the restart. Chase Elliott took the lead, but then you had Eric Almirola runs up to the front and steals it. He takes the lead straight up from Chase Elliott and leads the race. I mean, Almirola was not a factor at all this entire race, and all of a sudden, it seems as though that, holy crap, Almirola has a shot at winning this race. I don't know what is it with this 10 car, but he just will suck, and then out of nowhere, just gets good. New Hampshire was garbage for the entire season, comes to New Hampshire, and my golly, he has the best car and wins. It was weird, but still very interesting, because it changed the whole dynamic of the race, because now you had Almirola out in front and all the playoff contenders in the mid-pack in the Hornets' nest. But then after a long green flag run, newer tires started to prevail forward. You saw Denny, Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, those drivers move up towards the front. And it quickly became this scenario. Blaney would take the lead away from Eric Almirola with 22 laps to go. The points became as this. Blaney's leading. Hamlin got up to third. Byron, on the other hand, he had been trash all race long. Out around 13th to 18th place for majority, if not the entirety of the race. But now he's in the 13th position inside the top 15 with a 6 to 8 point advantage ahead of Hamlin. Hamlin's in third, like I said, but he's like 6, 7, 8 seconds behind Blaney. And Hamlin doesn't have the car like Blaney has. Hamlin's good, but he wasn't as good as Blaney's car was. So it was kind of like he needed a caution if he wanted to have a shot at winning the race. Didn't happen. Hamlin would stay third. Byron would stay 13th, even though Blaney was lapping cars, even lapped Byron late into the race. Still, nothing happened. Hamlin wasn't able to challenge Blaney. Byron didn't lose spots. They all maintained their positions. But Blaney would go on to win at Martinsville. Redemption for last weekend at Homestead, because he had the fastest car and could have had a shot at winning that race. But he goes on to win at Martinsville for his third win of 2023, his 10th career Cup Series win, and most importantly, advances to the Championship 4 for his first Championship 4 appearance. Now joins the likes of Kyle Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell in the Championship 4. So here's a look at your race results here. So Ryan Blaney wins. Eric Almirola still holds on for second place. What a run for that 10 car in his final Martinsville start. Denny Hamlin in third. Chase Briscoe, what a run for that 14 car. He had been fast all race long. Joe Logano in 5th place. Larson and Bell 6th, 7th. Chris Buescher in 8th. Austin Cindric, a solid run for that 2 car. And how about Todd Gillen in the top 10? Bubba Wallace just outside in 11th. Truex was never able to get back inside the top 10 after that speeding penalty, finishes in 12th. William Byron 13th. Ross Chastain, Harrison Burton, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Ryan Preece, the top 20. Some other notables, you see like Austin Dillon 23rd, his brother right behind him in 24th. Tyler Reddick pitted very late in the race for fuel, finishes 26th. Kyle Busch, he had one incident, I think, after stage 1 ended, where he had a flat left front tire and was just non-existent the entire race. I did not see that 8 car at all, maybe once or twice, but horrible for RCR in the 27th position. So also you see Alex Bowman was caught up in that crash with Harrison Burton in 32nd. Brad Keselowski 33rd, Daniel Suarez 34th, and you see JJ Yeley and BJ McLeod. So here is your Championship 4. Kyle Larson, he is the only driver of the Championship 4 that is a champion, who won here back in 2021, 4 wins and in his second Championship 4 appearance. And then you got Ryan Blaney, 3 wins. His best points finish in his career so far has been 7th, and this is, like I said, his first Championship 4 appearance. Christopher Bell, 2 wins in 2023. His second consecutive Championship 4 appearance, finished 3rd here last year. And William Byron now 6 wins, the most out of anyone in 2023. He had a best points finish of 6th. and this is also his first Championship 4 appearance. So we have a youth movement in the Championship 4. I believe Larson is the oldest of the Championship 4, but yeah, very interesting. Usually with the Championship 4, we always had at least 1 or 2 veteran drivers, but this time, I mean, yeah, Larson is a veteran, but he's still very young. So interesting group of drivers. My thoughts on this race, again, this was, I think, I get a 7.5 out of 10, 7.5, 8 out of 10. Sold out crowd at Martinsville, great crowd on hand, great racing. I love stage 3. Stage 3 was, for some reason, some people thought it was very boring, but I thought it was very interesting. The different drivers that were up towards the front and the different tire strategies. I love this race. Again, I don't think it was a classic chase era Martinsville race where more points racing, not so much of these big, like, oh my God moments like what we've seen in the later years of the next gen era, of the Gen 6 era, but still just a classic, great racing, great points racing, interesting battles going on from start to finish type of event. I love this race. And I said this in my tweet earlier. This was by far the best Martinsville race in the next gen car ever by a mile. So, and I want to bring this up again that I think with the next gen car, I understand people have no patience. They want great things happen right now. I'm a victim of that. But I also look at this next gen car kind of similar to what we saw in the COT era. We went from the Gen 4 to the COT car. The first 1, 2, 3 years were horrible, garbage. But when, you know, we got more familiar with the COT car, we learned about its advantages. You look at it, you look at that car at the end of its era. We had some really great racing. I look at the same thing with this next gen car. Are there some things that need to be worked out? Absolutely. But we're making improvements. And this was an example. From this year to last year, night and day. And I think as more and more years, more and more time, NASCAR gets familiar with this next gen car, we're going to get better and better racing. But those are my thoughts on the race. The Championship 4, man, I got to say, Martin Truex Jr. will go down as having the worst playoff slump of all time. To go from the regular season champion to have one finish inside the top 15, or actually no, 2 finishes inside the top 15, because they think he finished 12th in this race. So, but wow, I have not witnessed a playoff flop like what we saw with Martin Truex Jr. here today. Unreal. Great strong effort from Chris Buescher. The fact that he was even in contention for the Championship 4, no one had that on their radar at the beginning of the year. Denny Hamlin. I look back at that Bristol tweet. This is our year. No, it ain't. Oh, man. I feel bad for Denny. So the only time people call him a championship choker, but it's stupid because it's not true. The only time he's ever really choked out of a championship was 2010. 2022, I mean, last year, freaking hell. I mean, he lost it because of Ross Chastain did that wall move. You look at 2019, he lost it because, you know, of what happened on Pit Road, but just every single time he is that close from either making it to the Championship 4 or winning the title. I feel bad for him. I hope he gets one this before he retires. I really, really do. But yeah, Tyler Reddick, again, great effort from that 45 team, 23-11, continuing to improve. Bubba Wallace, even though he was out in the round of 12, that organization as a whole is getting better and better and better. As for the Championship 4, I mean, Phoenix, I look at that. I mean, I look at the 5. That 5 car, he can be deadly, but you also look at the 24 car. He won here earlier in the year. Hendrick, they could be a big factor, but you also have to look at the 12 car of Ryan Blaney. He had the best non-championship car last year. Almost had a shot at winning it. In fact, I think he could have won it if it wasn't for team orders and having him lay back. So it's an interesting Championship 4 to say the least. Very excited to see what happens. What are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you not? Until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank you so much for watching. Congratulations to Ryan Blaney, your winner at Martinsville.